Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Some dangerous cold is settling into Minnesota right now. Some of you could see 50 below with the wind chill tomorrow morning, meaning frostbite can set in a matter of minutes. So here are some frostbite symptoms to check for on your screen as we speak. If you experience any of these, take action quickly and seek medical attention. Try to get to a warm area. If you're able to get to a faucet, use warm water, not up. Experts say to use dry layers instead of fireplaces or artificial heat. You also shouldn't rub or put pressure on the affected areas. Our Audrey Russo is here with some other cold weather safety tips.
If you have to head out the door, your engine really only needs about 30 seconds to warm up and get ready. Anything more than that and you're pretty much just wasting gas, and you could also be breaking the law. That's right. In Minnesota, it is illegal to leave your car running with the keys inside unattended. Now this applies to both traditional ignition cars and to cars with key fobs. So this is where the remote car starter really comes in handy, because thieves can break the window and get in about 2 seconds. You really want to make sure that you are not setting up your car to be a sitting duck for thieves. Now when it comes to key fobs, those need special consideration because just like your car battery, the key fob runs on a battery and it can be sapped by the cold too. So you want to make sure you're keeping that in a pocket or warm, safe in a purse somewhere. If your battery does die in your key fob, there is a tiny little key. Most car manufacturers have a tiny little key that you can use to actually get into your vehicle. And then once you're inside, if you take the key fob and use that to press the engine start button, most cars usually have enough juice left where you can start the car one last time to get to a dealership or to get to the store to buy a replacement battery. Back to you.
Great reminders while we deal with possibly record cold. Parts of the South are dealing with historic flooding. A deadly storm rolled through this weekend, pushing rivers and creeks from their banks, submerging entire communities. Those floods being blamed for the deaths of a mother and her 7-year-old daughter who were swept away in the fast-moving waters. Those are just 2 of the 9 deaths being reported from the storm. This is as bird's eye view of the flooding along the Barron River near Bowling Green. The rain has let up for now across the South, but any rescue crews have to wait for the water to recede before moving in to help other communities. Well, if you have errands to run today, don't forget that it's President's Day and you could run into some locked doors. Stores and restaurants should mostly be unaffected by the holiday, but banks, post offices, government offices, and the stock markets will all be closed. Trump administration officials following through on a pledge to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine, arriving in the Middle East this morning to begin talks with Russia. While on the domestic front, mass federal worker firings are underway, including employees with stellar performance reviews. NBC's Alice Barr has more from Washington.
Top Trump officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, arriving in Saudi Arabia overnight for negotiations to end Russia's war on Ukraine. After his own trip around the Daytona 500 track, President Trump pressed about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's role in the peace talks.
He will be involved, yes.
Zelensky indicating he has not been invited to this week's U.S.-Russia meetings, telling NBC's Meet the Press he will not accept any deal made without Ukraine.
And do you feel like you have a seat at the table right now?
I not only count on it, I'm sure that we have to be there, otherwise it's not acceptable.
2 U.S. officials tell NBC News the plan is for separate meetings with each country before bringing Russia and Ukraine together. While here at home, NBC News has learned an IRS employee affiliated with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency is expected to seek access to an IRS system housing sensitive taxpayer information. An administration official says the employee has appropriate security clearances and is looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. Over the weekend, hundreds of federal workers laid off, from the Centers for Disease Control to the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, according to department spokespeople. And at the Transportation Department, NBC News obtained a termination letter telling dozens of probationary workers they were fired for poor performance, despite most being rated exceptional.
This is just Elon Musk trying to come in and break things for the sake of breaking them.
This country has made more progress in the last 3 weeks than it's made in the last 4 years.
pushback and praise in the president's race to remake the government.
New photos show the damage to a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier that collided with a merchant ship near the congested Suez Canal. The nuclear-powered warship USS Harry S. Truman is now being repaired at a U.S. naval facility in Greece after last week's collision. Damaged areas included the exterior wall of 2 storage rooms and a maintenance space. Navy officials say the merchant ship was also damaged, but no injuries were reported on either vessel. In New York, a deadline to bring an indictment against the man accused of killing United Healthcare's CEO is today. This comes just ahead of a case hearing Friday. Our Morgan Wolf is breaking down the timeline this morning.
Luigi Mangione is scheduled to be back in court this week. The 26-year-old is accused of fatally shooting Minnesota-based United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson on December 5th. In New York, Mangione is charged with first-degree murder as an act of terrorism. He's facing federal murder charges, too. And after the 4-day manhunt ended in Pennsylvania, Mangione was charged there as well. Mangione has entered a not guilty plea in every case. This weekend, his legal team launched a website to provide case updates and manage a legal defense fund, which has raised roughly $500,000 already. He posted a statement thanking people for their support. Mangione remains detained in New York City.
New details on the investigation into the alleged torture and murder of a Minnesota transgender man in New York. Police say an autopsy will be done in the coming days on Sam Nordquist. And we're learning the suspects in his killing have some disturbing backgrounds. According to the New York State Sex Offender Registry, Patrick Goodwin was sentenced to 10.5 years in prison in 2015 for sexually abusing 2 kids under the age of 10. He was released from prison in 2023. The New York State Department of Corrections reports another suspect, Kyle Sage, was sentenced up to 4 years in prison in 2022 for grand larceny and first-degree distribution of pornography to a minor. Sam's mom, Linda, is still trying to wrap her head around the murder of her son.
We were really close. We used to get in the vehicle, go driving around and dream and look at these rich houses. That was our thing. These people that did this to Sam are pure evil. They're not even human.
5 suspects were arrested, but investigators haven't released information on the relationship Sam had with them. Sam's mom says he went to New York months ago to meet his online girlfriend, who was one of the suspects. Tomorrow marks 1 year since a gunman in Burnsville opened fire on a group of first responders. Of 4 men shot, only one of them survived. And now Sergeant Adam Medlicott is sharing his story with Julie Nelson.
2 bullets hit Sergeant Medlicott, one in the forearm, one in the back. His bulletproof vest saved his life.
I was extremely lucky.
But he knew immediately others were not.
I knew. I knew that one for sure was likely not going to survive. I knew that from the moment the gunfire erupted. The other 2, I didn't know. I knew they were in bad shape, but you hope and pray that modern medical procedures can help and save them.
When he arrived at HCMC, no one had to say a word.
By the time I arrived at the hospital and one had come up to give me a hug and I'd seen the faces of the others, I knew. I think I just knew at that time.
His friends, Officer Paul Elmstrand and Matthew Ruge, and his colleague, firefighter and SWAT medic Adam Finseth, did not survive. An unimaginable loss.
They were the best of us, and that's not a cliche. They were absolutely outstanding human beings.
And Medlicott reveals what happened just moments before the shooting and the promise that he made to himself in the days that followed. And you, of course, can watch the full interview on our website and streaming right here on KARE 11 Plus. Well, check your pantry this morning. The FDA is recalling 2.5 million cases of Made Good brand granola bars over possible metal contamination. The affected bars are on your screen right now. The company says the metal could be from a small flat brush bristle used in the manufacturing process. Made Good says it will refund any products on the recall list. Just return them from wherever you got them. Well, don't go away. There's more news and a closer look at the bitter cold forecast that's coming up.